back to another video in the frickin' shop. So, as of today, I have 8 days to get this piece of shit ready. This wonderful, wonderful machine on wheels to get ready for my first time attack style road course race down in California in Bakersfield, Buttonwillow Raceway Park. I'm super stoked. Once in a lifetime opportunity, really. It happens once a year. It's a special convention specifically for these cars. I've always wanted to go ever since I got this car 7 years ago. Anyway, it's gonna be a blast. I finally get to go. I'm gonna trailer the car over there, drive 15 hours. It's gonna be awesome. Anyway, so we have a huge list, or I do, sorry. I have a huge list to get done before this car is even ready to go. There's several problems that I've held off because it's also my daily driver, but because I'm taking this guy down there, I gotta make sure we're good to go and it's performing good. So, number one is turbo. I finally have a genuine Garrett Gen 2 G30 770 in my hands. Right here. And I'll explain a little bit about that more in a sec. Got a brand new one of those because I've been running a GTX 3076R China turbo since I've had this car. They're great turbos, but it's time to move on because I hate the lag. So, number one is turbo. Number two, I've got quite a few bit of coolant leaks in this thing. And the car has never overheated in its life, but I have gotten close because I can't always, like every time, I'm fighting air bubbles in this thing because there's a decent coolant leak behind, underneath. Here's my intake manifold. It's the hard lines that go back behind here, thermostats here, and it goes around. It's hard to get to, so I never bothered with it. I have to pull the intake off and pull that whole thing out just to fix one silicone joint in those hard lines because it's a split piece. That's where it's leaking. That'll be a different day, but that's number two. Number three, most importantly, like these three things right here I gotta get them done or else it's not gonna be fun. Number three is I have some kind of weird ground issue, I'm assuming, at this point with my TPS. It does a weird thing where I'll be driving down the road, I daily drive this thing. I'll just be driving it and it's warm. I put it in neutral, roll up to a stop sign or something, and then out of nowhere, it just thinks I'm jabbing the pedal. It's reading the TPS thinks I'm accelerating. And I have acceleration enrichment. And with this car, it's pretty aggressive because of how large the volume is. The air is slower, less velocity. It needs a lot more fuel for a split second just with the littlest amount of throttle when it's idling. And if you do that enough, you can flood the car because it's weird. The air velocity in this thing is weird. And so if I'm sitting at a stoplight and it does that, it'll just shove it to 9 and 8 and make it super rich and kill the car. So I want to not let it get worse to the point to where if that is happening under full load boost, anything like that, it's not good. I don't want the TPS freaking out when I'm racing this thing at full blast. So that's number three. And 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8. I think there's like eight things in total we got to do. But those three things right now, like this entire week is based on me getting all those things done. But right now, hopefully today, turbo install. If I have time today, start with the coolant leak. I've already drained all the coolant today. The coolant leak addressed tomorrow, today is Tuesday, so Wednesday coolant leak, Thursday, hopefully going after the TPS issues, car is drivable, I can try to figure out what's going on, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday that week, whole weekend, end of week kind of thing is the rest of the stuff, small stuff, like I gotta put tow hooks on this thing, I gotta, what else do I gotta do? Rip out the wiring from my battery because when I first relocated it, I used 4 gauge which I thought was fine at the time, but learning now I don't know why I did that. I mean, it works, but 4-gauge wire is the size from the factory when the battery's up front. But if you're in the back and have the same size of wire, you can imagine how much of current draw that's going to cause because of how small the wire is. So I bought some real thick 0-gauge battery wire to redo that whole thing. So we should get, because sometimes I have slow cranking problems. Anyway, there we go. So now we're gonna continue with this turbo thing. All right, so beautiful, brand new G30 770 Gen 2 Garrett. This is my old turbo. It is a 3076R, $260 Gen 2 billet compressor wheel journal bearing turbo with a 63 AR housing, T3 to, your standard 3-inch V-band out. They actually look quite similar. They're both the same. They're both eBay housing, so I assumed they're gonna work, and they are. They're like perfectly exactly the same as far as, when I bolt up my rear housing to my manifold, my exhaust is gonna fit up. It's gonna fit up just exactly how it is. So that's the first good thing. And the second thing is, the center housings are like also everything, just looking at this right here, it's just everything's the same proportions. So it should be a very quick and easy drop in. All I have to do is weld on my Wiggins clamp flange on the new Garrett turbo, and we should be basically good to go, and then change out the turbo drain. So we'll see how well, not only is this ball bearing, it's going to have a much higher turbine speed, and it's also got a T51R mod. So yeah, it's just, I'm super stoked to finally see how well a good quality turbo can really change the outcome of my setup. All right, so it looks like we'll have to do a little bit more than just welding on the flange to the compressor housing and getting the clamp on there. It looks like that it's hard to explain, but essentially this is where this would sit down there, right about there. Kind of zoom in a little bit there. There we go. You can see where the front engine mount is, where that pipe goes through. Like I put it, there's a little channel. I put it so this goes just right through there in between the radiator and the front mount on top of the cross member. Well, apparently this had enough wiggle and jiggle, or was pressing up against the cross member and I couldn't see it, but that is a massive gouge, and I almost as well, if I put a light through, is cracking. So I got to remake this, and I'll probably change it a little bit to where it comes out farther here, and then just 90, 90, 90 instead of like the curve thing. All right, new piece is in. I'll kind of show a little bit here, and I'll explain why and what I did. Flange used to be up here. It was a Wiggins clamp. The right at the end here, and that used to kind of go down to a little like 45 elbow to the piece that I'd showed previously. Now obviously a Wiggins clamp has room to wiggle, and it's not a solid fixing clamp, so I think that was part of the reason why that had a lot of movement down there, because it's all silicone couplers. There's two silicone couplers connecting the two pieces down, from the radiator to this piece here. So there was already a lot of there's it's already not fixed. Like, it's all flexible couplers. So I'm sure that's what caused that piece to, the piece to hit that and for engine mount and cause it to smack and then crack it. So I went ahead, and now I believe I had to do a Wiggins clamp last time because of how close the housing is to the runner 4 on the exhaust on the turbo manifold. So I couldn't fit a V-band in there. And so I ended up just going straight off a 90 on this guy first, and then V-banding here, and then going down with 290s. So now, obviously, V-bands are a solid fixing clamp. Usually, it would make sense to me. I had two, like, both sides of what you're working on, like, say, where this leads to is also a flexible clamp. Well, is a flexible clamp. It's a hose coupler, or it's a silicone coupler, so it's going to have flex in it. Usually, I guess a rule of thumb, it makes sense to me, if you have tighter tolerances, you need to have at least one side a fixing clamp, in quotes. That's just what I call it. So either, a V-band or a flange clamp, whatever, something that it holds it and it doesn't flex, and it keeps a good solid mounting point. So with this V-band, it should not, and I got it right in between there. Like, there's an equal gap between the engine mount and the tube, and the tube from the radiator. So we should be, with this clamped, that won't move and won't hit anything. All right, so all the fab's done, hot side and on the, like, the hot side piping on the turbo, and then on, from turbo to the intercooler, and just finished cleaning everything all up, wire brushing. I'm not gonna sandblast, just to keep any sand from staying in the usually I don't like to sandblast housings, just because in case if I don't get all the sand out, and if there's any sand left in there, it's not good. So and I only have to scuff the 90-degree that came off of the housing anyway. So I just put it in the solvent tank, cleaned all the fingerprints and all the sanding, scuffing, scotch brighting of the 90-degree elbow, cleaned all that off, wire brushed the welds, and it's in the oven right now. Should be done. I pre-bake everything to make sure I get all the shit out of the part that I'm the part that I'm coating, so it it's the best way to make sure you don't get any bubbles when you coat anything. So about to pull this thing out, and there it is. Look at that, right there. It's not smoking anymore, and it looks pretty clean. So I'm gonna go ahead and let that dry. Not fucking dry, my God. We're gonna go ahead and let that cool down, and my nifty, fantastic, grade A powder coating station, and get this thing coated. First layer of powder coat, just about done. It's like 100 degrees right now, almost done cooling down and ready to do the second coat, which is I'll do the first is the purple, the Illusion purple base coat. And then I'll do Illusion Royal, which is like a dark blue. That'll be a second coat, and I won't do is like, you know, I'll make the base coat heavy. So whichever color you want to come out more, that's your heavy base coat. And then whatever color you want, just kind of a little bit shining in between, you know, just here and there, a little bit of whatever extra color, that's the second base coat, and you kind of dust it lightly on there. And then third coat is the clear coat, and it'll look just like this, but once the clear coat goes on, that's what makes the color come out. All right, here's the housing just about ready to get its clear coat. I just finished polishing the letters. This is gonna look so badass. I cannot wait for that. That turned out really good. And just really quick, I didn't record this because it was hard for me to try to get this working here. But essentially all I use every time, I'll just get those surface cleaner or surface abrasive pad. It's like a Scotch-Brite on a disc, essentially. I'll start with an aggressive red, maroon, and then to get most of the actual powder coat off of the letters, to get them to get to the metal showing, and then I will polish it, end quote, get it finer with the blue Scotch-Brite pad, and it ends up turning out awesome. Yeah, that's gonna look really cool. And then you make sure you kind of just slowly just kind of dribble a little bit of brake clean, and then make sure you blow off all of the dust, because if you leave any, then when you spray it, you'll get bubbles from the sanding. So you gotta make sure that it's perfectly clean afterwards, and make sure the letters too as well. Like sometimes if you don't I'll take like a Kleenex wipe, or not a Kleenex wipe, but a Kleenex tissue essentially, and I'll dab a little bit of brake clean on that, and I'll just kind of slightly wipe the letters just to make sure that there's absolutely no dust or anything, because it will show bubbles if you don't really clean the letters. So good to go. It's all clean, clear coat. This thing is gonna be, can't wait. All right, we're gonna go ahead and spray the clear coat and get this thing in the fucking oven. All right, day 3 right now. A little bit behind because of the fab work I had to do on the hot side of the turbo, but that's all done. And then I just finished. As of this morning, it's cooling down. Maybe you can see just a lid right there. Right there. That's the compressor housing. It's all finished, it's cooling off. It looks badass. We're gonna wait for a sec. Once that cools down, I'll show you guys. But right now, I just finished pulling off that piece of shit right there. Those are the coolant hard lines. goes all the way to that guy down there, and then this guy here. And where it was leaking, as you can kind of see the remains of it, where the housing's all wet here on the transmission here, it was leaking right underneath on the bottom side right there. You can see where it was coming out by that bottom bolt, and you can't see how retarded this is that you can't get, you have to have a open end to get to that. Even a normal socket just will not get onto that. It just doesn't work. Maybe I'm just really unlucky with the set of hardline, and it's just the bends are just a little too close and the bolt's a little different, and I just can't get a socket on mine, so I can't get back there. So I have to take this whole thing off just to tighten that or to fix a leak. So since this is out, we're gonna take off both sides and re-silicone everything, and then it goes back in fresh. So should have no leaks. So I'm just about done cleaning up these flanges here and getting them ready to re-silicone. Obviously, you know, I had mentioned what I was, this joint here was what was actually leaking, but I decided to take off both that joint and the actual thermostat housing, the thermostat joint. And it's honestly a good thing I did. So even though that thermostat housing, it was quite a bitch to get off. It had a really good seal, but here's an example of what this side started out as. And I thought this was a good seal, but I've probably done like 2 or 3 passes on this plate here with 220, and you can see that there's still quite a few low spots on here. So surprisingly, I mean, this was still sealed, but you know, not only, honestly, in my opinion, the best reason why I do this is so you can have just the smallest amount of silicone. You can have a lot less silicone and still have a really good seal, and doesn't get a bunch of RTV in your coolant system. So just about done. This side's done. That side's done on here. And all I'm doing left is sanding this guy and the actual on the other side of the housing is over there. But after that, we're ready to silicone everything back up and get this hard line back in the car. All right, as I promised, here we go. The light was out earlier, but it kind of just, clouds kind of came, so it's hard to actually see the purple come out. but when the light hits this thing, just a real bright purple comes out. But when it's, you know, more, when there's no light, it's more of like that blue, that dark blue. So it turned out, I fucking absolutely no bubbles on the letters either. It turned out really fucking nice. Can't wait to go put this thing on there. All right, we're finished with everything. I just vacuum filled the coolant system and there were absolutely no leaks. The vacuum system checked out good and it's filled. It's been sitting for like 10-15 minutes. I know I need to run it to really check, but as of right now, there are no coolant leaks at all, which is fucking awesome. And right now, just looking at this, like, god damn, dude. Look at all that purple. So everything's hooked up. I double checked everything. Double checked every nut, bolt, everything. Everything's all hooked back up, electrical. And so we are ready to start this thing and see what it sounds like. So I'm gonna put phone right here. Boom. Okay. First startup with the new turbo. We got the dog here. Don't see any leaks anywhere. So far, so good. Check this out. My God. Oh my God, that is a whistle. Oh, man. Fan's working. Thermostat hasn't opened up yet. That is an insane fucking whistle.